So, hello and hi from the Intranet Reloaded conference in Berlin. I'm here with Pascal from Involv, and we will take a couple of minutes to show you the latest features or basically the demo walkthrough through the product. Sure. Short introduction, Pascal, what is your job role? What are you doing with Involv?
So I'm basically a customer success manager for Involv, which is a fancy word for consultant actually.
Okay.
Important to know is that I'm not a tech person. I used to be actually a communication expert before I started at Cognit, before I joined them. I was a digital communication manager for more than 10 years for one of the biggest hospitals in Belgium, and before that 6 years of being a general communication manager.
So you're more the domain expert in terms of communication?
Yeah, and I try to match actually the tech needs to the communication needs. So my point of view is, okay, what do you need from a communication stand of view, and how can we actually meet that with our technology that Involv offers?
Perfect, then let's start and have a look at the environment. So we switch over.
Over here you can see our demo environment, and what's really important for you guys to know is the fact that this is actually based on SharePoint.
Okay.
So what Cognit or Involv does is actually take your existing Microsoft Office environment, your SharePoint Online environment, and we try to enhance the experience. We do know that a lot of people do not like to work in SharePoint because it's not always user-friendly.
Yeah.
And they do tend to miss important features that a communication specialist actually needs. So what we try to do is put a layer on top of the SharePoint environment you have to answer those questions, to answer those needs. So for example, it's really easy to create news, for example, just by clicking the plus buttons, which gives you some possibilities to create the news, to tag the news, to say where it needs to go. Do you want it to be in the hero important? Do you want to pin news, for example? This is all done in one easy place to go to. If you take a look at this homepage, for example, it has a hero component, but it can also be easily a slider, for example.
Okay.
And the thing is that we try to make sure that you can differentiate between what's actually need to know and what's nice to know. So a visual way of emphasizing what's really important for the end user.
And I guess it's personalized, so.
It is personalized, yes. As we are based on SharePoint, we can use your existing AD groups to make sure that some specific news is only visible for target group A and other news is only visible for target group B. That's something we do think that's really important. So personalization is actually something we try to make sure is available in most of our tools. If you take a look at the component over here, Thomas, we have an incident module, for example. An incident module to create on the fly a pop-up, for example, for something that you really need to know. Okay. And those incidents can also be personalized. So if, for example, only your management needs to see this incident, you have the possibility via your AD groups to target that group via an incident module. When there are no incidents to be seen, okay, the module isn't there and everything moves up. The same for the quick links. We as an admin can make sure that some quick links are available for everybody. Okay. Via the targeting, we can make sure that those specific quick links are only available for a specific subset of people in the company. And if your colleagues are actually missing a quick link, they can actually even create it themselves or choose one from the suggestion link list that we curated.
You can provide already a couple of links, and then I can pick and choose what I want to see.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But talking about quick links, the thing is, what I really like about our tool, as I already told you like 3 times now in the last 5 minutes, we are SharePoint based. We are an Office 365 based solution. Okay. So this actually also means that other products from SharePoint, from the Office 365 suite, can also be integrated into our intranet. If you want an overview of your emails, if you want an overview of the plans you have access to, if you want to see which tasks you have to do, from Planner, if you want to see which sites you are following, or what kind of teams you have and what kind of files you have in your OneDrive, which files you actually are using a lot. because we are SharePoint based, we can integrate those things as well and really create the intranet that acts as a front door to your digital workplace.
So you aggregate the different services from Microsoft
Yes.
365 and make it like a dashboard or entry point. So
That's
I have
it.
quick glance, and then I can move on.
That's what we do indeed. And of course, SharePoint based, so you can use all the widgets SharePoint has to offer out of the box. But of course, we do create our own widgets as well. The quick links is a example. The incidents module is an example. The hero component is an example. Our slider, even our welcome tour. If you want to show to a new colleague what's on the homepage, for example, you have a welcome tour that takes you through the homepage and tells you what you can find on the homepage. This part can actually be implemented on each page, but this is just an example of how the module in question works. And it's actually also now highlighting something that I do think is quite interesting as well. It's a must-read component. So if there is information that you really want your end user to read, it will stay in your face until he has actually read the information put in the mandatory read component.
I need to sign off or click somewhere to say,
that.
I read it, or
that's it.
At least I acknowledge that it was a news.
And this is also targetable. So if you want to make sure that target group A gets these specific must reads, it's also a possibility. Cool. And as you can see, as we use your existing AD data from your user profiles, we have the option, and I do tell it's an option because you don't have to do it, of course, but we can also automatically show when somebody's birthday is coming up, or when somebody joins the company, what so his role is.
New hire information.
New hires, company anniversaries, personal anniversaries. We do have all that stuff integrated in our solution. Something I do think that's also interesting for every communication specialist out there is the fact that we also have the possibility to push information. So I can't show it on the screen over here, but we have a mobile app. So we have the possibility to push incidents, news, events. You tell what you want it to be pushed. We can push it to the mobile app. We can push it to Teams. We can push it to your email inbox. We can even create a desktop notification if necessary. And that's all done via our notification center. And on top of that, we also have created, and this is new for our latest 4.2 update, we've also created a newsletter that gives you, of course, the possibility to create templates and then push a newsletter to your colleagues via email.
So it's interesting for frontline workers that maybe need an a summary or a more approachable way
of digesting all the information, the news that they don't have information to because they don't have access to a desktop, for example.
That's cool.
And talking about frontline workers, something else that might be interesting as well is the fact that we also have a solution for digital signage. We have Involv Cast, which gives you the possibility to display news, incidents, events, again, what you need to be displayed on big screens all over your company in the personal, the cafeteria, for example, the personal restaurant of your company. We have the possibility to show information on your big screens as well. What I do think that I would like to highlight as well is that we also have a statistics center. We have an overview of how your intranet is actually being used. That's where we actually integrated a analytics center inside of our content admin panel. So if you take a look over here, you can easily go to our analytics center. And what it actually will do is show you how the intranet is being used. First, it needs to load all the information that is located on all the different involved sites. So it's doing this right now, and now it's coming in. So on the dashboard, like, okay, who is using this? How many views? How many users? How many sites do we have? How many logins on mobile? How long do they actually, on average, of course, visit the intranet and stuff like that? A quick view of what's the most read content on our demo environment, of course. So those aren't real numbers, which sites are used the most. But what I do think is really interesting is the fact that we also have the possibility to show you how your search is being used. So what are your colleagues looking for? And which search entries are actually generating a hit with the green bullet over here, or is an unsuccessful search with the red bullet over here?
So something you maybe need to double click on to get more details because people are searching it.
And the thing is, what I actually try to do over here is give you an insight of, is my navigation actually working? Are people finding what they actually need? If you take a look at this information, you can learn how your people are looking for information on the intranet, and if you need to change something information architecture wise so that the information needed is actually being found. So this is an important tool to know how your colleagues are looking for information. And of course, if you're using notification, we are going to tell you how many you created via which channel. And if it's actually being clicked, if it's being used, who is using it, and stuff like that. We do the same thing for the mandatory reads. We do the same thing for the incidents. Of course, we have an overview of the sites and how they are being used, how many visitors, how many views, which content on which site is popular, and stuff like that. And it's the same thing for a breakdown of the content being created on the site, which is generated the most likes, comments, views, and stuff like that.
So you could create a adoption goal or KPIs in terms of measurements, how whatever you define as successful is. Basically see the impact you're creating with the tool.
That's actually it. But of course, as a communication expert, I always tell my clients, one, you need reach. But what's the impact being generated? So those things are really important, and this is a great starting point, I think, to create those overviews, those statistics, to know if you're actually reaching the right colleagues and if you're generating impact.
Perfect. If you go back to the main screen, maybe a quick summary. I think one important message is always you try to emphasize it's a solution on top of Microsoft 365. This means all the data is stored there?
Yeah, that's correct. So this is really important for a lot of IT specialists. GDPR-wise, this is really interesting. Because we are using your environment, because we are putting a layer on top of your existing SharePoint Online, we do not get your data. Your data stays on your tenant, on your environment, and we do not get access to your data. And I do think that this is a big difference between a lot of great competitors, but this is something that is actually setting us apart from others. We do not get your data at all.
So you're a Microsoft 365 solution that stores all the data inside the tenant of the customer.
That's it. We do not get access to your data at all. And maybe as well, Thomas, it's an out-of-the-box solution. So after installation, you're actually ready to go. But of course, then the fun part starts. Then we get into the configuration part. We can style your intranet as you see fit. Something I think we do better than SharePoint. We have more styling options. We can actually really match how your branding looks on your external website, for example.
Colors.
Colors, logos, those are the basic things. But we can make actually most widgets, most web parts actually look like you're used to when you visit, for example, your external website.
Perfect. So we have a secure place to store data. You can customize it. We're using profile information to generate personal content. With a mobile app. Digital signage. Connecting all the services from Microsoft 365.
A lot of services, indeed.
What did I miss?
I think you've covered it all, actually. But maybe one more thing.
One more thing.
What's important to know as well is if you choose for Involv as an intranet solution, we're always trying to make it better. So like 4 times a year, you get an update with new functionalities. For example, I was talking about the hero component, I was talking about the newsletter. Those are all new updates that are actually introduced in 4.2.
And you wanted to show this demo because mine was too old.
Yes, to be honest, yes, actually, yes. And we tend to listen to our clients if they are actually in need of a specific solution, a specific functionality or widget, I don't know what. We always are ready to listen, and if there is a win-win situation, we tend to create it. and we're even open for co-creation, for example. So there is always a solution to keep improving the product, and we'll try to do it in co-creation with our clients.
With open ears, listening
Yes,
to feedback.
we are.
Perfect. With that, I think we are hitting the 15 minutes.
Sure.
Perfect. Pascal, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Thomas.
And see you soon.
You will.